literally saying to everybody, why is he in a dress again? You already played the old lady as an FBI agent. We can play anything now. We can be playing a dog catcher this time. Why do we need to?
For many years, Katt Williams has been seen as the rebel of American comedy, blunt to the point of discomfort, so unpredictable that no one dares to be certain what he will say next. But this time, at 54, Katt is not talking about money, not about power, and not about scandal. He is talking about something far deeper: the image of black men wearing dresses in the entertainment industry. To Katt Williams, that is not a joke, not a trend, and certainly not pure art. He believes it is a quiet trade-off, where some people accept bending their image, even their gender, in order to step deeper into the center of Hollywood. Katt does not hide his discomfort. He says directly that he hates it. He hates it not because of who they are as people, but because of what they represent on screen. According to Katt, those images have helped change how the entire world views black men, from symbols of strength to objects meant to be mocked and softened for entertainment. 7 names, 7 people, 7 different paths, leading to the same controversial question. What does fame in Hollywood really cost? Kevin Hart industry plant and the dress that took him to the top of Hollywood. In early 2024, Katt Williams appeared on Club Shay Shay with Shannon Sharpe. Katt did not come to promote a movie. He came to burn everything down. He chose a moment when the public was beginning to question Hollywood's glamour to release the rawest truths, the trade-off, and the symbol of the dress. This is the most controversial part. Katt Williams revisits a dark tradition in Hollywood. Black male actors are often required to wear dresses or perform acts that diminish their masculinity in order to land major roles. Katt implies that Kevin Hart accepted all of it without any resistance. No one in Hollywood can say they have ever seen Katt Williams wearing a dress. No one has ever seen me perform those compromising acts. But Kevin, he does everything they tell him to do. In Katt Williams' world, a black man wearing a dress on screen is not simply a sacrifice for art. He sees it as a humiliation ritual. Katt claims he turned down tens of millions of dollars so he would not have to wear a dress, while Kevin Hart treats it as something completely normal. In a sketch on the legendary show Saturday Night Live SNL, Kevin Hart impersonated child actress Quvenzhané Wallis, who was extremely popular at the time for the film Beasts of the Southern Wild. Kevin wore a flared pink dress, a floral headband, and performed the coy gestures of a young girl. Katt sees this as a textbook example of Hollywood enjoying the sight of a grown black man becoming small, ridiculous, and completely feminized to serve laughter for a mainstream audience. In Real Husbands of Hollywood, a parody series, Kevin Hart frequently places himself in situations where he is overpowered, weak, and styled in ways that Katt considers emasculating. In certain episodes or promotional clips, Kevin's willingness to wear women's clothing or perform effeminate behavior is seen by Katt as Kevin signaling to studio bosses, "I'm easy to control. I'll do whatever clown act you want." Although he does not wear lace dresses in Jumanji or Central Intelligence, Katt argues that Kevin Hart consistently plays weak characters who scream panic and need protection from a white man, or racially ambiguous figures like The Rock. Katt considers this a form of psychological dress wearing. Kevin is always the sidekick, turning himself into a joke to elevate someone else's strength. According to Katt, this is how Hollywood filters talent. They choose black men who are willing to play the lesser role. In his interview on Club Shay, Katt Williams used an extremely heavy term to describe Kevin Hart industry plant. Over the past 15 years, have you ever seen someone so artificially inflated? Kevin Hart is a planted asset. He didn't come up through the grind like we did. Katt explains that in the world of stand-up comedy, every artist typically spends decades sharpening their craft, failing in small clubs before ever being recognized. But with Kevin Hart, Katt argues every door seemed to already be wide open. He accuses Hollywood of having a hidden force that selected Kevin to become the face of black comedy, because Kevin is easy to control. Katt doesn't just attack Kevin's character, but also his ability. He points to the fact that Kevin Hart appears repeatedly in nearly every major film project, while other genuinely talented comedians are pushed aside. Kevin was there when everyone else was being removed. He took all the roles that should have gone to more capable people, simply because he was willing to make the deals that we refused. Katt claims that he himself was once offered roles that Kevin later accepted, but he turned them down because they required a sacrifice of self-respect. Kevin's decision to take those roles is what leads Katt to view him as a traitor to the ideals of authentic black artists. When you look deeper, two completely opposite philosophies emerge. Katt Williams, the rebel, represents artists who prioritize freedom of speech and personal identity. He is willing to be blacklisted, willing to go to jail, or be shut out of major projects just to protect his sense of self. To Katt, comedy is a weapon for telling the truth. Kevin Hart represents a massive money-making machine. Kevin turned himself into a family-friendly brand safe for every sponsor. His method is to optimize profit and reach above all else. Katt hates Kevin because he sees Kevin's success as a lie. In Katt's eyes, Kevin is not a king of comedy, but a perfectly controlled puppet. Katt naming Kevin among the people he hates most is not simple jealousy, but a warning about how Hollywood is controlling and shaping black culture in ways that benefit them. After the interview exploded, Kevin Hart responded calmly, very much in line with a businessman's mindset. He dismissed Katt's comments as noise and focused on promoting his new film. Online, however, the public split into two camps. One side supported Katt for daring to speak about the hidden sides of the so-called Illuminati or underground powers. The other side argued that Katt is simply a washed-up artist clinging to the name of someone at the top. What do you think? Is Kevin Hart simply a professional comedian who believes anything is fine, as long as it's funny? Or was Katt Williams right to point out a deeper conspiracy aimed at diminishing the dignity of black artists? Even more dramatic, what comes next is a televised character execution. Katt Williams claims he delivered a personal checkmate that left his opponent holding resentment for the past 20 years. Ricky Smiley, the pink dress and the scam of the century. Behind the roll of money, Mike. This battle didn't begin on a podcast. It began back in 2002 when Katt Williams was still a small-time newcomer, while Ricky Smiley was already a well-established name. But Katt flipped the script in a way no one could have predicted. For 2 decades, Ricky Smiley has repeatedly claimed that the role of Money Mike, the role that launched Katt into superstardom, was originally his, and that he turned it down to give Katt a chance. According to Ricky, Katt was nothing more than a second-rate replacement. But Katt Williams scoffed and dropped a shocking truth. Ricky Smiley is lying because he can't swallow the fact that he failed miserably at the audition. He couldn't improvise. He had no natural charisma. The director looked at me and instantly knew who the real boss of that role was. Katt asserts that he himself rewrote the entire character of Money Mike, transforming him from a forgettable role into a pop culture icon. The dress clause, a brutal checkmate. This is the most gripping part. Katt Williams recounts that when Ricky kept causing problems and acting like a diva on set, Katt made a wild demand in the official contract: "I'll play Money Mike and turn it into a money printing machine for you. But with one condition: Ricky Smiley must wear a dress in this film." And what was the result? Ricky Smiley appeared as Mason, a character wearing a tight pink dress, a wig, and portrayed as completely feminized. Katt uses that image to deliver a sharp message: Ricky was willing to do anything just to secure a supporting role, while Katt held all the power of life and death over the project. In the explosive interview on Club Shay, Katt Williams tore down Ricky Smiley's radio legend image with a story that sounded like something straight out of a detective movie. Katt didn't just call Ricky a liar, he exposed how he forced Ricky to kneel before the Hollywood system. Katt Williams didn't stop there. He analyzed that Ricky Smiley hates him not because of personal conflict, but because of pure jealousy. Ricky couldn't stand watching someone as small as Katt have the backbone to refuse the dress, while Ricky had to wear it just to survive. Katt implies that every time Ricky goes on radio shows to badmouth him, it's really the cry of a man who sold his soul to Hollywood long ago. Katt calls Ricky a second-tier artist, someone who only bullies others behind a microphone, but trembles when faced with the truth on a film set. Katt turned Ricky Smiley into a textbook example of what happens when an artist chooses money and submission over talent and dignity. Ricky may have millions of listeners, but in the eyes of steel-spined artists like Katt, Ricky will forever be the man who wore that pink dress. The next figure is someone Katt despises even more, a man who used the dress to build an entire empire. dragging down the value of black men along the way. Tyler Perry, the villain in Katt Williams' eyes. We can't talk about Tyler Perry without mentioning Madea, the oversized black grandmother, crude gun-toting and sharp-tongued with no filter for anyone. Tyler Perry didn't wear a dress just once. He wore it for more than 20 years across dozens of films and stage plays. Madea brought Tyler Perry billions of dollars, allowing him to own one of the largest studios in the world in Atlanta. But Katt sees Madea as a severe degradation. On Club Shay Katt didn't hesitate to suggest that Tyler Perry turned the image of black women into a crude, violent caricature to entertain audiences. Katt believes Tyler discovered a formula that Hollywood absolutely loves: a black man wearing a dress in exchange for wealth. Unlike the sympathy he shows toward Martin Lawrence, who Katt believes possesses genuine stand-up talent, Katt Williams views Tyler Perry as a prime example of someone who climbed high without real comedic ability. Katt accuses Tyler Perry of accepting the dress very early on as a fast-track ticket. While artists like Katt had to fight to protect their scripts and their voices, Tyler Perry built an empire on stereotypes Hollywood uses to pigeonhole black people. He's not good at comedy. He's only good at wearing a dress and doing what white executives want to see from us. That is the bitter message Katt delivers. In the historic interview, Katt went straight for the root of Tyler's success. A man with real talent doesn't need to wear a dress for 20 years to be recognized. He chose that path because it was the easiest way to become a billionaire in Hollywood. Katt considers Tyler Perry the ultimate traitor because he turned the dress into an economic foundation. In Katt's eyes, every dollar Tyler earns from Madea carries a heavy price paid in the dignity of black men. Tyler Perry is famous for writing his own scripts, directing his own projects, and starring in them himself, often playing multiple roles. Many praise this as versatility, but Katt Williams calls it toxic control. Katt suggests that Tyler Perry creates a working environment where young black actors must submit and follow his formula if they want roles. Katt calls Tyler a gatekeeper, someone who decides who gets famous based on whether they are willing to compromise with the dress-wearing system. Why does Katt Williams hate Tyler Perry so deeply? Because Tyler proved something Katt desperately wants to reject: that you can become a billionaire by accepting Hollywood's curse. Katt Williams chose the hardest path, holding on to masculinity, edge, and truth, even if it meant being pushed to the margins. Tyler Perry chose the most efficient path, turning himself into a harmless figure, an old woman delivering mainstream laughter and building power from inside the system. The rift between them isn't just personal, it's a clash of ideologies. One side believes truth and self-respect are supreme. The other sees power and money as tools to change status. Tyler Perry often argues that he uses Madea's money to create jobs for thousands of other black people. Tyler Perry remains a symbol of success, a model of perseverance against the odds. But through Katt Williams's unforgiving lens, Tyler's empire is simply living proof of how much Hollywood is willing to pay those who choose to submit. Madea's dress is no longer just fabric, it's a deeply controversial message. Tyler Perry may have won the race for money, but in the battle to protect the soul, that Katt Williams has declared, Tyler will forever be the ultimate villain. Eddie Murphy, when laughter becomes a test. There was a time when Eddie Murphy embodied every Hollywood dream. Young, fast, sharp, defiant. He stepped onto the stage like a powerful gust of wind, saying things no one else dared to say, forcing all of America to listen. That was the early Eddie Murphy, intense, masculine, unapologetic in his existence. But then cinema entered the game, and with it came choices. In The Nutty Professor, Eddie Murphy didn't just play the lead, he became an entire family. A mother, a grandmother. The images were carefully constructed. The laughter came easily, and the box office proved an undeniable truth: audiences liked it. Hollywood did too. When Norbit arrived, the boundary was pushed even further. The female character Eddie portrayed was no longer just a comedic accent, but the center of the joke. Exaggerated, bizarre, designed to make audiences laugh at first glance. And once again, the system nodded. Successful, safe, repeatable. But not everyone saw those roles as harmless comedy. For Katt Williams, they were signs of an old but persistent rule in Hollywood. If black men want to go far, they must first accept having their image bent. Katt Williams didn't say this in anger. He said it repeatedly in different spaces, with the same cold, steady tone. He once made a statement that ignited fierce debate across the comedy world. They always put the dress out first, and if you take it, they know you're ready. That line wasn't aimed directly at Eddie Murphy, but Eddie is impossible to avoid whenever the topic of the dress in American show business comes up. Not because he was weak, but because he became enormously successful by accepting it. Katt Williams sees a subtle tragedy in Eddie Murphy, a man talented enough to never need to trade anything away, yet living inside a system that constantly rewards compromise. According to Katt, when laughter is created by softening the image of black men, it stops being harmless. It begins to shape perception. In another stand-up segment, Katt said it very clearly, "I don't wear dresses. Not because I'm afraid, but because I understand what it means." That statement draws a line, a refusal, and at the same time, an accusation, without pointing a finger. Eddie Murphy stands on the other side of that line, not as a traitor, but as someone who chose a different path. What makes this tension unsettling isn't verbal sparring. Eddie Murphy has almost never responded. He stays silent, continues his career, continues to be loved. That silence makes the story more disturbing, because it shows that the system doesn't need debate. The system only needs results, and the results are obvious. Eddie Murphy became a family-friendly face. His films became easier to watch, less controversial, suitable for all ages. But the price, according to Katt Williams, was that the image of the black man, who once made all of America uneasy, has now become a safe joke. Katt never denies Eddie's legendary status. He has never said Eddie was undeserving. But he asks a question Hollywood doesn't want to answer. If you hadn't done that, would you still be here? That's a question Eddie Murphy has never answered publicly, and perhaps never needed to, because his career answers it for him. Successful, enduring, protected by the system. But that very protection in Katt Williams' eyes is proof of domestication. There are no villains here, no absolute winners, only two philosophies running in parallel. Eddie Murphy believes in transformation to survive and expand influence. Katt Williams believes in holding one's shape even if the cost is being pushed to the margins. This conflict doesn't play out on stage. It plays out in how stories about black men are told, in what is allowed to be laughed at, and in what is considered too rigid, too dangerous to appear on the big screen. Eddie Murphy remains a symbol of a golden era. Katt Williams remains the opposing voice that refuses to be silent. And between them lies a question that never gets old. Is laughter created to liberate or to soften what once made people afraid? Another name is also pulled into this debate as living evidence, a predecessor, and in Katt's eyes, another victim. Martin Lawrence, the dress or Hollywood's curse. Think back to the 1990s. Martin Lawrence wasn't just an actor, he was a cultural phenomenon with the sitcom Martin. And the soul of that show was Shanae Jenkins, the legendary cross-dressing character played by Martin himself. Shanae wasn't just a role, it was a symbol. With long fake eyelashes and tight flashy outfits, Martin turned a black female character into the center of non-stop laughter. At the time, the public hailed him as a master of transformation. He was compared to Eddie Murphy, and cross-dressing was treated as a benchmark for versatility and limitless range in an artist. But behind all that applause was a painful question. Why, for the world to recognize his talent, did a strong black man have to begin by turning himself into a joke in women's clothing? Hollywood's curse. The trade-off of dignity after the spotlight. In his explosive interview on Club Shay, Katt Williams did not hesitate to call this a humiliation ritual. According to Katt, Hollywood operates under a brutal unspoken rule for black male artists. If you want to climb to the top of the power tower, you must accept that we will strip away your masculinity. Martin Lawrence, Katt argues, was the one who opened the door to that precedent. Katt analyzes that Martin's decision to wear Shanae's dress unintentionally created a curse for the generations that followed. Hollywood executives began to think, if even Martin Lawrence wore a dress, who do you think you are to refuse? The dress shifted from an artistic tool into a symbol of submission, a fractured soul. There is a truth few people talk about. The peak of Martin's career was also the moment his mental health hit rock bottom. In 1996, all of Hollywood was shocked to see Martin running into a busy Los Angeles intersection gun, in hand screaming incoherently. He had completely collapsed from exhaustion and pressure. Many people, including Katt Williams, believe this was the consequence of living inside a system that constantly forces artists to perform roles that diminish their sense of self. Repeatedly having to embody feminized characters to serve mass laughter created irreparable cracks in the psyche of a deeply self-respecting black man like Martin. Looking back at Martin Lawrence's career, we see a complex picture. On one hand, he was a genius who brought joy to millions. On the other, he was pulled into the debate over the unspoken contract behind Hollywood's toxic stereotypes. Unlike Kevin Hart, whom Katt accuses of eagerly wearing the dress in pursuit of success, Martin Lawrence is viewed with far more sympathy. He was a pioneer, someone who stepped into a game whose rules were already designed to work against him. Martin wore the dress, he achieved enormous success, but the price he paid was years lost to crisis and doubt about the true value of a black man on screen. Martin Lawrence's dress is a brilliant yet haunting chapter in entertainment history. It reminds us that behind every laugh in Hollywood, there is often a painful compromise. Martin eventually escaped that curse to become an action superstar in Bad Boys. But the shadow of Shanae has never fully disappeared, standing as a reminder of the cost of fame. What do you think about Martin Lawrence's dress legacy? Was it the height of acting, or a sad submission to the system? If there is one name that makes the story of the Hollywood dress more complex and twisted than any other, it is Jamie Foxx. Jamie Foxx, a genius, between the curse and the Oscar statue. In the Club Shay Shay interview, when Jamie Foxx's name came up, Katt Williams' attitude wasn't pure hatred, like it was toward Kevin Hart, but a mix of respect for talent and bitterness over compromise. To Katt, Jamie Foxx is a monster in terms of ability, but also someone who accepted playing the devil's game in order to lay his hands on an Oscar statue. Before becoming an A-list superstar, Jamie Foxx had all of America laughing uncontrollably on the comedy show In Living Color. And the character that launched him was Wanda, a black woman, with a strange appearance, drooping lips, and an exaggerated confidence in her own attractiveness. Jamie Foxx didn't just wear a dress. He turned himself into the ugliest and most ridiculous version of a woman possible. Katt acknowledges Jamie as a musical and acting genius, but he emphasizes that even someone as unbelievably talented as Jamie still had to start by wearing a dress as Wanda before Hollywood would open its doors. Katt sees this as proof of just how ruthless the system is. Even if you're a genius, you still have to be brought low first. Katt Williams and Jamie Foxx once shared periods of relative closeness within the stand-up comedy world. However, the fracture began when Jamie moved deeper into Hollywood's center of power. Katt implies that Jamie Foxx chose the path of being protected. Katt recalls closed-door parties and powerful inner circles often rumored to be the Illuminati, where stars like Jamie Foxx are expected to participate in order to maintain their status. Jamie Foxx is the most talented person I know, but he had to make deals that I would never accept. He chose the Oscar statue over freedom. That is the unspoken message Katt delivers. Many people ask Jamie played Ray Charles brilliantly and earned his Oscar fair and square. What does that have to do with wearing a dress? But through Katt Williams' lens, everything is connected. Katt believes that only after Jamie proved his obedience through characters like Wanda did Hollywood grant him what he calls a power ticket to play serious roles. Katt despises the way this system forces artists to pay with their dignity before their true talent is acknowledged. He sees Jamie as a brother who signed a contract with the elite in exchange for career security. The story becomes even more dramatic when Katt Williams brings up Jamie Foxx's mysterious hospitalization in 2023. In April 2023, the world was stunned when Jamie Foxx's daughter announced that her father had suffered a medical complication and was rushed to the hospital while filming Back in Action. For months, there were no photos, no videos, no clear explanation of what illness he had suffered. A stroke, paralysis, blindness. Speculation flooded social media. When Jamie reappeared in a video in July, he looked thinner and deeply emotional, but still did not explain what had happened. He only said that he had gone to hell and back. In his interview with Shannon Sharpe, Katt Williams did not explicitly say what illness Jamie had, but he painted a context that sent chills down listeners' spines. Katt suggested that what happened to Jamie was not random, but a reminder from the forces that control Hollywood. Katt emphasized, "Do people really think that was just a normal medical issue? In Hollywood, when you reach a certain position and start thinking about going off the rails, or when you know too much of what you're not supposed to know, they'll show you how much power they have over your body." Katt uses Jamie Foxx as an example to illustrate this idea. Once you sign a deal with the devil, a reference to accepting the dress joining inner circles to gain fame, you no longer fully own yourself. What happened to Jamie, according to Katt, is proof of the price of knowing too much, while still wanting to hold on to freedom. Katt speaks about Jamie with deep regret because he sees Jamie as a true genius. They can lift you up, but they can also take you down in an instant. Jamie Foxx has seen the dark side of that spotlight. Katt uses Jamie Foxx as a warning to young artists: don't be blinded by Oscar statues or wealth. Sometimes the cost is total control over your own body and your life. Jamie Foxx remains an icon, a man who can sing like an angel and act as if possessed. But on Katt Williams' list, Jamie Foxx represents the compromise of a genius. If Kevin Hart is looked down on by Katt for lacking talent, then Jamie Foxx breaks Katt's heart, because he has too much talent, yet still had to bow to the dress. Jamie won in the eyes of the world, but in the battle for black male identity that Katt fights, Jamie is a soldier who laid down his weapon in exchange for a crown. What do you think about Jamie Foxx? Is he a smart artist who knows how to work the system, or truly a luxury victim of Hollywood? If the previous names inspired hatred or regret, then with the next figure, Katt Williams' attitude shifts to rare respect mixed with satisfaction at seeing a brother who dared to push back against the system. Chris Tucker, the man who refused the dress, and the billion-dollar disappearance. The first dress shock, like Jamie Foxx and Martin Lawrence. Chris Tucker couldn't escape Hollywood's initial trap. In 1997, Chris Tucker shook the world with his role as Ruby Rhod in The Fifth Element. Remember that image, a DJ in a tight leopard print outfit draped in feathered scarves, hair piled high, and an intensely feminine style? In the Club Shay Shay interview, Katt Williams analyzed this moment with razor-sharp precision. Katt believes this was the first loyalty test Hollywood executives set for Chris. They wanted to know, can we control this guy? Is he willing to humiliate himself in exchange for global fame? But Katt emphasizes one crucial detail. Chris played the role brilliantly and instantly rose to A-list stardom. The difference between Chris and the people Katt despises, like Kevin Hart, is this: Chris recognized the trap immediately. He understood that if he kept wearing those dresses, he would forever be their puppet. Turning down $20 million when self-respect costs more than money. This is the detail Katt Williams uses to slap Kevin Hart directly. After the massive success of the Rush Hour franchise, Chris Tucker became the highest-paid actor in Hollywood, around $25 million per film. Hollywood placed the most lucrative contracts imaginable right into his hands, roles anyone else would kneel to get. And then Chris suddenly stopped. He turned down countless blockbuster scripts and quietly walked away. Katt reveals a secret few dare to say. Openly, Chris Tucker refused to continue playing roles that demeaned black people or required the kind of dignity-stripping compromises the system demanded. They handed him a stack of blank checks and told him to keep playing the clown. Chris looked at it and said, "No, I'm done with you." Do you know how much courage it takes to turn down $20 million when you're at the top? Katt says with pride. Why did Chris Tucker disappear? Hollywood spread rumors that he was difficult, demanded too much money, or that religion was the reason. But according to Katt Williams, the real context is that Chris saw the monster inside the system, the same one Jamie Foxx encountered and Kevin Hart now serves. Chris Tucker chose to boycott Hollywood before they had the chance to blacklist him. Katt explains that Chris's long silence wasn't because he faded away, but because he refused to participate in backroom deals or the dark dinner parties of the elite. Chris chose to keep his masculinity, his faith, and his freedom. Katt also mentions the close friendship between Chris Tucker and Michael Jackson. This detail is extremely important. Chris was one of the very few people who stood by MJ until the very end. Katt suggests that through MJ, Chris Tucker saw the entire control machinery of the music and film industries. He saw how they destroy a legend once that person is no longer easy to control. That context, Katt believes, is what led Chris to step back, choosing a quieter life, but one where he remained fully in control of himself. Katt Williams uses Chris Tucker to prove to the world that you can succeed without selling your soul. Kevin Hart says he had to do that to make it. Look at Chris Tucker. He was the biggest star in the world without having to wear a dress a second time, without betraying his brothers. Chris is a slap in the face to every coward who keeps justifying their own compromise. In Katt Williams' eyes, Chris Tucker is not a washed-up comedian, but a king who willingly stepped away from the throne in order to preserve his dignity. While Hollywood tried to smear him as difficult to work with to Katt, and to those who understand, Chris Tucker is the final symbol of resistance. Chris chose to disappear so he wouldn't become a medical mystery like Jamie Foxx, or a billion-dollar puppet like Tyler Perry. And that, according to Katt, is the real victory. In the end, this story is not meant to judge Eddie Murphy, nor is it meant to condemn Kevin Hart. It isn't about deciding who is right or who is wrong. What Katt Williams is doing is simply holding up a mirror to Hollywood and asking a question few dare to ask. When fame comes too fast, does it come from pure talent, or from accepting the image the system wants to see? Maybe Katt Williams is wrong. Or maybe he's just saying out loud what many people think, but never dare to admit. Do you think Katt Williams is defending the image of black men? Or is he being too harsh on art and transformation? Leave your honest thoughts in the comments below. Hit like to support the channel. And subscribe so you don't miss the behind-the-scenes stories, the hidden angles, and the debates Hollywood never wants to tell you about.
We do not make any absolute claims regarding the accuracy of the data presented, and we are not responsible for any personal decisions made based on the content of this video. From the stage to the big screen, their influence is undeniable. Thank you for watching this tribute. If you enjoyed this walk through history, leave a like and subscribe to the Silent Legends archives. This video specifically recommended for you reveals a truth that few people talk about. Watch it now to see the full picture. Take care of yourselves.